Ethan adjusted his headset as he walked through the bustling corridors of the Helios research station. The station orbited a distant star, floating silently above an unexplored planet. Engineers, scientists, and researchers moved quickly along the metallic halls, carrying tools, datapads, and experimental equipment. For Ethan, the station was a place of endless fascination and opportunity. Every corner held something new, something to study, to understand, or to improve. It was a day like any other, until the announcement came over the station intercom. A new team member has arrived. Please welcome Lyra of the Zilari species to Helios Station. Ethan paused mid-step. Zilari. He had heard of them before, an intelligent alien species with unique physiology and keen scientific minds. Their biology was unlike anything humans had ever seen, with graceful forms and intricate patterns across their skin that seemed almost alive. He followed the signs directing him toward the docking bay, curious to see the newcomer. As he entered the large bay, he saw her. Lyra stood tall, her violet-hued skin shimmering faintly under the station lights. Her eyes were large, reflecting the world around them like polished gemstones. She moved with a quiet elegance, each step measured and purposeful. A soft hum of equipment surrounded her as she examined her surroundings, taking in the technology with keen interest. Ethan's first reaction was simple, human awe. "She's incredible," he whispered under his breath. It was meant to be private, just a thought, a fleeting observation. But fate had other plans. "Did you just say something?" Lyra's voice, smooth and melodic, caught him off guard. Her eyes were fixed on him, curious but not unfriendly. Ethan's face heated. I was thinking about, your biology," he stammered, realizing how badly that sounded. "I meant it in a scientific way. I didn't mean to offend." Lyra tilted her head slightly, studying him. Then unexpectedly she smiled. Human honesty. That is rare. Most of your kind would hide thoughts like that." Ethan blinked, stunned. "You're not mad? Mad?" "No, intrigued perhaps, curious. That is how science advances, is it not?" She gestured toward the lab area. "Come, let us discuss your thoughts if you wish." Ethan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Following her through the station, he tried to calm his racing mind. Humans were known for curiosity, but he had never been so directly confronted by it, by an alien scientist no less. The lab was a large, open space filled with advanced equipment Ethan had only read about in schematics. Machines hummed softly, screens displayed complex data streams, and holographic models of molecular structures floated in midair. Lyra walked confidently to a workstation, her fingers brushing across the controls with precision. "Please," she said, gesturing to a seat. "Explain what you were thinking." Ethan swallowed hard and sat down. I noticed the way your body is structured. It's different from humans, obviously, and I thought it was fascinating how your muscles and limbs move so fluidly, how your physiology allows you to interact with equipment and environments in ways humans can't." Lyra's eyes sparkled with interest. That is not offensive. That is observation. Good scientists observe first, judge later. Humans, you are honest in thought, yet sometimes clumsy in speech. Ethan laughed nervously. "Yeah, I guess that's me. Clumsy with words." Lyra leaned back slightly, her gaze thoughtful. "You must understand your species does not see all the details that others do. For example, humans notice form and shape, often in ways that are more emotional than analytical. That is, different from Zilari perception." "I didn't mean it in an emotional way," Ethan said quickly. "I'm just curious. I want to understand everything about other species, especially those who are working with us on these projects." "That is good," Lyra replied. "Curiosity is the foundation of intelligence. Yet your honesty, your spoken thoughts reveal much about your nature. Human transparency. It is bold. Some may find it startling." Ethan scratched the back of his head. "I didn't expect anyone to take it that way. I thought maybe you'd think I was rude or something." "I do not think you are rude," Lyra said calmly. "You are human. Humans speak without filtering, sometimes without awareness." "That is fascinating." "And useful sometimes," Ethan blinked. "Useful?" "Yes," she said, standing and moving to a holographic display. "Consider your species' approach to problem solving. You rely not only on logic, but intuition, emotion, and quick judgment. Many alien species fail because they lack that combination. You notice things others do not. Your honesty, even your accidental words, reveal aspects of thought that are valuable. Ethan felt a strange mix of relief and pride. Somehow his slip of speech was turning into a bridge for understanding. I didn't think of it that way, he admitted. Most humans do not, Lyra said with a faint smile. Yet that is why you are important. Your perspective is unique. For the next hour, they spoke about physiology, biology, and the differences between humans and Zalari. Lyra explained how her species' muscles, sensory organs, and nervous system worked together in ways humans could barely imagine. Ethan shared human anatomical quirks and how humans adapted to extreme conditions, from zero-gravity environments to harsh planetary surfaces. Through this exchange, Ethan's nervousness faded. He realized that Lyra was not offended. Instead, she was curious. She valued honesty, even when it was awkward or unpolished. And in that moment, he understood something important about humans. Even when clumsy, their courage to observe, speak, and act could open doors in ways aliens could not predict. As the conversation continued, Lyra paused and looked at him seriously. Tell me, Ethan, why do you wish to understand us? Ethan thought for a moment. Because humans are small, fragile, and often underestimated, he said slowly. But we survive, we adapt. We find solutions no one expects. I want to see how other species do the same, and maybe learn something that can help both of us. Lyra studied him for a long moment, then nodded. That is a good answer, humans. You have an admirable trait. Courage combined with curiosity. Many species lack that combination. It is why humans survive where others fail. Ethan felt a surge of pride, but also humility. I just try to do what I can. You do more than try, Lyra said softly. You observe, speak, and act, that is rare. As the day ended, Ethan walked back to his quarters with a new sense of purpose. He had arrived at Helios Station expecting routine work. Yet his first encounter with Lyra had changed everything. She was not just an alien scientist. She was a reminder that humans, in their honesty and curiosity, had something unique to offer, and somehow by accident, he had revealed a piece of that humanity. The next morning, Ethan returned to the lab, determined to continue learning. Lyra was already there, analyzing data with precision. She looked up as he approached. Human, she said, her tone light but amused. Did you bring more thoughts today? Ethan laughed. I'll try to keep them scientific this time. Good, Lyra replied, her eyes sparkling. Yet remember, honesty, even accidental, has its value. You may find it opens doors you never expected, Ethan smiled, realizing that the day ahead promised not just work, but understanding, discovery, and the kind of friendship that could cross the boundaries of species. As he settled into his workstation, he glanced at Lyra, studying the patterns of her skin, the way she moved, the brilliance of her mind, and he knew for the first time that humans had something truly remarkable to offer in a galaxy filled with wonders. And sometimes, even an accidental comment could be the start of something incredible. The next morning, Helios Station buzzed with energy. Scientists and engineers moved between laboratories, their discussions filled with technical terms, data analysis, and new experiments. Ethan walked through the corridors, his mind replaying yesterday's conversation with Lyra. He couldn't believe how a small, accidental comment about her body had led to such an open and respectful discussion. But more than that, he was eager to learn about Lyra, about her species, and about how humans could contribute in ways others could not. When he arrived at the lab, Lyra was already there, examining a holographic display of molecular structures. The patterns shifted and shimmered as she manipulated them with her delicate, precise movements. Ethan paused at the doorway, admiring her focus. She was beautiful, yes, but more than that, she radiated intelligence and confidence. Good morning, human, Lyra said without turning, her voice calm yet melodic. I trust you are prepared to continue our discussion? Ethan smiled and stepped forward. Absolutely, I want to understand more about your physiology and how it affects your work, and maybe learn how humans can work better alongside your species. Lyra finally looked up, her violet eyes meeting his. Very well, sit. We have much to discuss. Ethan took a seat beside her workstation, trying to contain his excitement. Lyra began by explaining the fundamentals of Zalari biology. Unlike humans, their muscle fibers could contract and expand with incredible efficiency, allowing them to lift and manipulate objects far heavier than their size would suggest. Their nervous system processed multiple sensory inputs simultaneously, giving them near instantaneous reaction times. It is not just strength, Lyra explained. It is coordination, perception, and intuition combined. Every movement, every decision is interconnected. We observe patterns that humans might miss, yet you possess qualities that are equally unique. Ethan leaned forward. Like what? Lyra's eyes sparkled with a mixture of amusement and curiosity. Humans possess creativity, unpredictability, and adaptability. Your species is less precise, but you compensate with imagination and problem-solving. You notice details that others might overlook. Your curiosity drives innovation. Ethan felt a sense of pride, but also humility. Humans were often considered weaker or less advanced compared to other species. But Lyra's words reminded him that strength wasn't only physical or logical, it was also mental and emotional. Their discussion shifted from anatomy to practical applications. Lyra demonstrated a piece of alien technology that relied on her species' unique physiology to operate. The controls required simultaneous pressure, motion, and feedback that a human would find challenging to manage. Yet Ethan, observing carefully, noticed patterns in the machine's design that even Lyra had not considered. Interesting, he said, pointing at a section of the interface. If the pressure is applied slightly differently, it might stabilize the output more efficiently. It's not something your species would naturally attempt, I think. Lyra's brow raised in surprise. She leaned closer to examine his idea, her fingers tracing the adjustments he suggested. Fascinating. Your approach. It is different yet logical. Humans see the system as a whole, rather than through isolated components. That is a quality that Zalari often overlook. Ethan grinned, feeling a thrill of excitement. For the first time, he realized that humans had something truly valuable to offer. Not raw strength or speed, but the ability to think differently, to challenge expectations, and to find solutions that others might miss. As they continued working together, Ethan became aware of another layer to their interaction. Lyra's calm, analytical demeanor sometimes softened into moments of curiosity about him personally. She asked questions about human behavior, culture, and even his experiences on the station. Ethan, in turn, shared stories of human history, resilience, and exploration, all in the context of scientific understanding. At one point, Lyra paused and looked at him directly. Tell me, Ethan, are you always this honest, even when it might create awkward situations? Ethan chuckled nervously. I suppose I am. Sometimes I speak before thinking. Sometimes it gets me into trouble. But I found that honesty, even when clumsy, can open doors. It helps people understand you, or at least see what you're thinking. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. Humans, you are rare in your transparency. Other species hide thoughts, mask intentions, or overthink their words. You speak and reveal your mind. It is refreshing. Ethan laughed softly. Well, I'm glad you think so. I wasn't sure if you'd find it rude or strange. Rude? No, Lyra said with a faint smile. Curious. Amusing, perhaps. Yet your honesty, it allows collaboration to progress faster. I can predict your thought patterns better. I can work alongside you more efficiently. It is advantageous. The morning passed quickly. Ethan and Lyra moved from theory to practice, adjusting experimental equipment and testing new methods based on their combined insights. Lyra's skill and precision complemented Ethan's unconventional thinking. Machines responded more smoothly, data became more coherent, and progress on the project accelerated dramatically. During a short break, Ethan observed Lyra studying a holographic map of the station. Your species seems very efficient, he said. Every movement, every decision, precise and controlled, Lyra nodded. Efficiency is necessary for survival in our home environments. Every action has purpose. Every decision must consider immediate and long-term effects. Yet efficiency alone is not enough. Creativity, unpredictability, humans possess that. It is a complement to precision. Ethan considered her words. He realized that human adaptability often stemmed from necessity. On their home planet, humans had faced countless challenges: extreme weather, natural disasters, and environmental hazards. That adaptability, combined with curiosity and persistence, made humans remarkable in ways even advanced alien species could not fully understand. You know, Ethan said, smiling. I never thought my clumsy comment yesterday would turn into this. Learning about your species working together, understanding each other. It's incredible. Lyra glanced at him, her expression unreadable for a moment, then a soft smile appeared. Yes, it is remarkable. Sometimes a simple thought spoken without planning can lead to understanding. Even accidents have value. You see, Ethan, humans have a way of turning mistakes into opportunity. Ethan felt a warm sense of camaraderie. Despite their differences, species, culture, even physiology, they were finding common ground in curiosity, honesty, and the shared goal of discovery. He realized that human qualities, though sometimes underestimated, had power in collaboration, innovation, and understanding. As the afternoon sun streamed through the observation windows, casting long shadows across the lab, Ethan noticed Lyra watching him carefully. "Do you ever worry," she asked softly, "that your honesty might get you into trouble?" "Sometimes," Ethan admitted, "but I've learned that being honest can also create trust. People, humans, aliens, respect truth more than clever words or hidden intentions." "Even if it's awkward," Lyra nodded. "Trust is essential in collaboration. You have an instinct humans call courage. You combine it with honesty and curiosity. That is why I value your perspective. Not all species can achieve this balance." Ethan felt a surge of pride. He was just a human engineer. But in this lab with Lyra, he saw that humans could offer more than expected. He could contribute in ways that were subtle but significant. Their work continued until the station's evening cycle began. Machines powered down for routine maintenance and the halls grew quieter. Ethan packed his tools ready to leave, but Lyra stopped him. "Ethan," she said, her tone serious but not unkind, "today was productive. Your observations, your ideas, they were valuable. I want you to continue, not just for the project but for understanding. Humans, your species. I want to see more of what you can do," Ethan smiled. "Thank you, Lyra. I'll keep learning. And I'll keep speaking my mind carefully this time." Lyra chuckled softly. "Carefully, yes, but do not lose the honesty. It is refreshing. Unexpected honesty is a human strength." As Ethan walked back to his quarters, he reflected on the day. A small accidental comment had led to conversation, collaboration, and understanding. He realized that human curiosity, adaptability, and honesty were not weaknesses, they were strengths, especially in a galaxy filled with beings who often relied solely on logic or precision. He looked out the observation window, watching stars shimmer against the blackness of space. For the first time, he felt the depth of human potential, not in terms of power or speed, but in creativity, resilience, and the courage to speak truthfully, even when awkward. And somewhere in the quiet of the station, he sensed Lyra's presence, a reminder that humans could excel not just alone, but in collaboration with others, if they were brave enough to show their true selves. The day had ended, but a new chapter was beginning. Ethan was no longer just an engineer at Helios Station. He was a human whose curiosity and honesty had opened doors, bridged worlds, and begun a partnership that promised discovery, respect, and perhaps something more remarkable than either species had imagined. The next day, the Helios Station hummed with urgency. A critical experiment was scheduled, one that could determine the future of the research project Ethan and Lyra were working on. The lab was filled with machinery that pulsed with light and energy, and holographic displays projected streams of data in midair. Ethan adjusted his gloves nervously. He could feel the pressure but also the thrill of the challenge. Lyra was already at her workstation, her violet-hued fingers moving with precision over the controls. "Good morning, Ethan," she said without looking up. "Today's test is complex. One miscalculation could compromise weeks of work." "I understand," Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the tension in his chest. "I'll do my best." Lyra finally turned to him, her eyes sharp and focused. "Your best may be enough. Humans possess qualities that Zalari often underestimate: creativity, intuition. You may see a solution that logic alone cannot reveal." Ethan nodded, drawing courage from her words. He had spent the last 2 days learning about Zalari biology, observing Lyra's methods and thinking critically about how humans could contribute. Now it was time to act. The experiment involved stabilizing a new energy conduit that could amplify the station's power output tenfold. Lyra demonstrated the proper handling, showing how her species could manipulate the delicate controls with fluid movements. Ethan watched carefully, noticing subtle details in the pressure, timing, and sequence of inputs. When it was his turn, he approached the controls cautiously. The machine responded, but not perfectly. Energy spikes flickered along the conduits, threatening to destabilize the system. Ethan's mind raced. He remembered how humans often adapted to unpredictable situations, improvising when strict procedures failed. "Wait," he said aloud. "If we adjust the sequence slightly, using a rhythmic pattern rather than constant pressure, we might stabilize the energy flow." Lyra's eyes widened. "Explain." Ethan gestured at the holographic display. "The energy pulses are irregular. Your method assumes uniform stability, but fluctuations are inevitable. If we synchronize the inputs with the natural oscillation, we can reduce the spikes without overloading the conduit." Lyra leaned closer, studying his analysis. She tapped on the display, running simulations based on his suggestion. "Intriguing. Humans. You see patterns differently. It is unexpected." Ethan felt a surge of hope. "I think it could work. We just need to test it carefully." Together, they adjusted the controls, combining Lyra's precision with Ethan's intuition. The energy conduit pulsed and shimmered, then stabilized. Ethan exhaled with relief as the holographic readouts showed consistent data streams. "Remarkable," Lyra said, her voice calm but impressed. "Your approach, human intuition, solved a problem that conventional methods could not. This is why collaboration is essential." Ethan smiled, a mixture of pride and excitement coursing through him. For the first time, he truly understood the value of human ingenuity. Their species might lack the physical perfection or instant reflexes of others, but they compensated with creativity, adaptability, and courage. As the day progressed, Ethan and Lyra continued to refine the experiment. Machines hummed, sensors adjusted, and data streamed across the lab. The more they worked together, the more Ethan realized that humans had a unique advantage: the ability to improvise under pressure, to find solutions that were not immediately obvious. During a brief pause, Ethan noticed Lyra watching him closely. "You seem calm even with all this at stake," she observed. "Do humans often face such high-pressure situations?" Ethan chuckled. "We do. Life on Earth wasn't always easy. Sometimes you have to make decisions quickly, adapt to new environments, and trust your instincts. I guess it comes naturally after a while." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Adaptability. That is a trait many species lack. Zalari rely on precision and training. Humans, you rely on ingenuity and intuition. That is why you succeed where others might fail." Ethan felt a sense of pride mixed with humility. He was just one human, yet his perspective had contributed something meaningful. He realized that humans, though often underestimated, had qualities that could turn accidents into opportunities, challenges into victories. As they resumed the experiment, a sudden alert flashed on the central display. The energy conduit began to fluctuate unexpectedly, far beyond the normal range. Machines beeped urgently and the lab lights dimmed for a moment. Ethan's heart raced. "Something is wrong," Lyra said calmly, though her eyes narrowed. "The system is reacting unpredictably. We must stabilize it immediately or the experiment could fail." Ethan's mind raced. He remembered a principle humans often used: observe, analyze, and adapt quickly. He studied the display, noting the fluctuations and patterns. Then almost instinctively, he adjusted the controls in a rhythmic pattern, slightly different from their previous attempt. The conduit pulsed violently, energy sparks flickering along the conduits. Ethan's hands moved with precision, guided by intuition rather than protocol. Lyra observed silently, her eyes widening as the machine responded to his adjustments. Slowly, the fluctuations began to subside, stabilizing into a steady pulse. "Impressive," Lyra said quietly. "Human intuition. It saved the experiment." Ethan exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and exhilaration. "It wasn't just me. We worked together. Your precision and my improvisation. That's why it succeeded." Lyra smiled faintly. "Perhaps. Yet humans have a remarkable ability to adapt in the moment. That is inspiring." For the rest of the day, they continued fine-tuning the system. Each adjustment, each observation, reinforced a growing respect between them. Ethan realized that humans could excel not through perfection, but through creativity, persistence, and collaboration. During a quiet moment, Ethan glanced at Lyra. "You know, yesterday when I accidentally spoke my thoughts about you, I didn't expect it to lead here. I thought it might have ruined our professional relationship. Lyra looked at him, her expression thoughtful. On the contrary, your honesty, even accidental, revealed something important. It allowed me to see your perspective, your curiosity, and your courage. It is why we work well together now. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth that had little to do with the lab's heating system. I'm glad. I was worried at first. You need not worry, Lyra said softly. Humans are often underestimated. Yet I see now that your species possesses qualities that others lack. Courage, honesty, adaptability. Combined, they create potential beyond expectation. Ethan nodded, absorbing her words. For the first time, he felt the full weight of human potential, not just in survival, but in creativity, collaboration, and the ability to face the unknown with courage. As the station's evening cycle approached, the lab lights dimmed, casting long shadows across the machinery. Ethan packed his tools, preparing to leave, but Lyra stopped him. Ethan, she said, her tone gentle but serious. Today was not only about the experiment, it was about observation, understanding, and trust. You have demonstrated human ingenuity, and I value it. Remember this: humans, though small in physical strength, can achieve greatness through intellect, courage, and creativity. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Thank you, Lyra. I'll continue learning and contributing. And I'll keep speaking my mind carefully this time. Carefully, Lyra repeated, a faint smile touching her lips. Yet never lose your honesty. It is a human strength. As Ethan walked back to his quarters, he reflected on the day's events. A machine that could have failed had been stabilized by a combination of human intuition and alien precision. A potentially awkward encounter had evolved into mutual respect and collaboration, and he realized that humans, often underestimated, had something unique to offer in the galaxy. The courage to act, the honesty to communicate, and the creativity to solve problems others could not. Looking out the observation window at the stars stretching endlessly into space, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was more than just an engineer. He was a human whose species could make a difference in ways that machines and protocols alone could not. And somewhere in the quiet of the lab, he knew Lyra was observing him as well, not just as a colleague, but as a witness to human potential. Tomorrow promised new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities to prove that humans, with their unique combination of courage, curiosity, and creativity, could excel even in a galaxy filled with extraordinary beings. And Ethan, for the first time, truly understood what it meant to be human. The morning at Helios Station began quietly, almost deceptively so. Ethan walked through the corridors with a sense of focus, carrying his tools and data pads. Yesterday's experiment had been a success, but today promised an entirely new challenge. A critical component of the station's research system was malfunctioning. If left unchecked, it could disrupt not only their project but also the work of dozens of scientists across the station. Lyra was already in the lab when Ethan arrived, her posture calm and precise, though her eyes betrayed a spark of concern. Ethan, she said without looking up, the energy modulation array is unstable. Preliminary analysis indicates that conventional stabilization protocols will not suffice. Your species' intuition may be required. Ethan paused, taking a deep breath. This was the moment that tested everything he had learned in the past days. Not only did he need to apply human ingenuity, but he also had to do it under pressure, with a skilled alien scientist observing every step. What kind of instability are we dealing with? Ethan asked, moving closer to the holographic display. The oscillation frequencies are irregular, varying unpredictably with the system's energy load, Lyra explained. Zilari protocols assume controlled linear patterns. Your species' approach may allow us to anticipate these anomalies. Ethan nodded. He had observed the system closely and noticed subtle patterns in the energy pulses that the automated analysis had not accounted for. I think the fluctuations are not random, he said. They respond to feedback loops we haven't modeled yet. If we can mimic their rhythm rather than oppose it, we might stabilize the array. Lyra turned fully toward him, her violet eyes studying him intently. Explain your method. Ethan pointed at the display, tracing the pulse patterns with his fingers. See these spikes? They occur shortly after the system completes a cycle. If we synchronize the input adjustments with the natural oscillation, instead of forcing constant pressure, we reduce the spikes without overloading the system. Lyra's expression shifted to one of deep interest. Human, You perceive the system as a dynamic entity rather than fixed protocols. Fascinating. Let us implement your idea. Together, they began adjusting the array. Lyra executed precise movements while Ethan made subtle rhythmic adjustments based on his intuition. The energy pulses flickered dangerously, casting brief shadows across the lab, but slowly the fluctuations began to diminish. Good, Lyra said, her voice steady. The system is responding to your improvisation. Ethan felt a surge of confidence. It's working. Keep your adjustments synchronized with mine and we'll maintain stability. Hours passed as they fine-tuned the array, each minor correction bringing the system closer to equilibrium. As they worked, Ethan noticed how efficiently Lyra moved. Her species' ability to anticipate responses and make precise adjustments was remarkable, yet, without his human intuition, the solution might not have been possible. During a brief pause, Ethan asked, Lyra, do you ever doubt that humans can contribute meaningfully? I know your species values precision above all. Lyra considered the question. I once believed humans were unpredictable liabilities. But in practice, I see potential. Your species' creativity, adaptability, and honesty create opportunities that other species might miss. Today, for instance, your intuition allowed us to stabilize a system that would have otherwise failed. Ethan smiled, feeling a quiet pride. It was more than just recognition. It was validation of human ingenuity. He realized that humans, though often underestimated, had qualities that could complement even the most advanced alien technology. As they resumed work, a sudden alert flashed on the display. The system began fluctuating again more violently than before. Machines whined under the stress and a low hum filled the lab. Ethan's heart raced, but he forced himself to remain calm. This is beyond normal variation, Lyra said, her voice steady but sharp. We must act quickly. Ethan analyzed the pattern, noting that the spikes followed a subtle, repeating sequence. I think the instability is responding to our corrections, he said. It's almost like it's testing us, responding dynamically. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Dynamic systems are not new. But your approach, humans can respond to unpredictability in ways Zalari cannot. Show me what you intend? Ethan began making careful rhythmic adjustments, his hands moving almost instinctively. Lyra mirrored his movements with precision, their actions synchronized as they guided the system through its volatile state. Sparks flickered along the conduits and the lights dimmed briefly, but gradually the pulses stabilized. Remarkable, Lyra said quietly, her tone tinged with admiration. Human intuition. It saved the system. This confirms my growing respect for your species. Ethan exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and exhilaration. He had faced a challenge that could have been catastrophic, yet human ingenuity and collaboration had turned it into success. The experience reinforced a truth he had been learning. Humans, despite limitations in physical strength or speed, excelled in creativity, adaptability, and problem-solving. As the lab quieted, Lyra studied him for a moment. Ethan, yesterday you spoke honestly about your thoughts. Today your intuition has proven invaluable. Humans, you reveal your strengths in unexpected ways. Ethan chuckled nervously. I wasn't sure if my honesty yesterday would matter. I thought it might just be an awkward mistake. Not a mistake, Lyra said firmly. It was a revelation. It allowed understanding to develop. Your honesty, combined with your problem-solving ability, creates a unique synergy. That is why collaboration with humans is essential. Ethan felt a warmth he could not fully describe. It was more than pride. It was recognition, respect, and a deep understanding of human potential. I never thought an accidental comment could lead to this, he admitted. Accidents have value, Lyra replied with a faint smile. Sometimes revealing your thoughts opens doors that careful planning cannot. Humans have a way of turning unintentional moments into meaningful opportunities. For the remainder of the day, Ethan and Lyra documented their findings, refined their methods, and prepared reports for the station's senior scientists. The energy modulation array was now stable, operating at peak efficiency. Machines hummed steadily, data flowed without error, and the lab radiated an atmosphere of quiet triumph. During a final check, Ethan glanced at Lyra. You know, I didn't expect our work to progress so quickly. I thought aliens and humans might struggle to collaborate. Lyra's expression softened. Collaboration requires understanding, respect, and a willingness to learn from one another. Humans, your species possesses these qualities in abundance. That is why our progress has been so rapid. And Ethan, you have demonstrated courage, honesty, and creativity, qualities that are rare and valuable. Ethan smiled, realizing the depth of her words. He had come to Helios Station as a simple engineer, uncertain of his place among advanced alien species. Now he understood that humans had something unique to offer, a combination of adaptability, insight, and courage that complemented even the most advanced technology. As the station's evening cycle began, casting long shadows across the lab, Ethan packed his tools. Lyra approached him, her expression calm but her eyes bright. "Ethan," she said softly, "remember this day. Humans are often underestimated, yet in moments of challenge you reveal your potential. Your species is remarkable, not in strength but in ingenuity, courage, and perseverance. That is why I value our collaboration." Ethan felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, Lyra. I'll continue learning, working, and speaking my mind. Carefully, of course." "Carefully," Lyra repeated with a faint smile. "Yet never lose honesty. It is a human strength." As he walked back to his quarters, Ethan reflected on the day. A critical system that could have failed had been stabilized through human intuition and alien precision. A potentially awkward interaction had evolved into mutual respect and collaboration, and he realized that humans, often underestimated, had something extraordinary to offer: courage, creativity, and the ability to act decisively in the face of the unknown. Looking out at the stars stretching endlessly into space, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was a human whose species could make a difference, not through brute strength, but through intelligence, collaboration, and courage. And somewhere in the quiet of the lab, Lyra observed him, a reminder that humans could excel not only alone but in partnership, turning curiosity, honesty, and intuition into remarkable achievement. Tomorrow promised new challenges, new discoveries, and further opportunities to demonstrate that humans, with their unique qualities, could surpass expectations, even among the most extraordinary beings in the galaxy. Ethan took one last look at the stabilized energy modulation array, feeling a sense of quiet triumph. He knew that this was only the beginning, that the partnership with Lyra and the lessons he had learned would shape his path on Helios Station in ways he could not yet imagine. And he smiled, knowing that humans, despite their apparent fragility, could achieve greatness in a universe full of challenges. The next morning, Helios Station was unusually quiet. Ethan arrived early as usual, but the lab felt different, charged with anticipation rather than the usual controlled energy. Today was not just another experiment. It was the culmination of weeks of work. The energy modulation array had been stabilized, the systems optimized, and the researchers were now preparing for a station-wide test. Lyra was already at her workstation, her posture calm, yet her eyes were sharp, reflecting a mixture of focus and anticipation. "Ethan," she said, her voice even but firm, "today we will see the full extent of your contributions. The final test will measure not only the system's capacity, but also the efficiency of human-alien collaboration." Ethan adjusted his gloves, feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. "I'm ready, Lyra. Let's make this work." Lyra nodded, and together they approached the holographic display. Data streamed continuously, showing energy flows, conduits, and potential stress points. Ethan studied the patterns carefully, noting minor irregularities that the automated analysis had missed. "If we adjust these nodes slightly before the system reaches peak load, it should prevent any bottlenecks," he said, pointing to specific points on the display. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Human intuition again. You see the system as an integrated whole, not just individual components." "Very well. Implement your adjustments and I will coordinate precision control." They began working in tandem. Lyra executed flawless, precise movements while Ethan made adjustments based on instinct, predicting how the system would respond. Energy flowed along the conduits, pulsing in harmony with their combined actions. The hum of the machinery filled the lab, a testament to the station's advanced technology and the effectiveness of their teamwork. As the test progressed, a sudden surge appeared in one of the main conduits. The machines emitted warning signals and the lab lights flickered briefly. Ethan's heart raced, but he stayed calm, analyzing the pattern of the surge. "It's responding dynamically to our adjustments," he said aloud. "We need to synchronize with the surge instead of opposing it." Lyra's expression was unreadable for a moment, then she nodded. "Proceed. I will mirror your rhythm." Ethan adjusted the controls rhythmically, almost instinctively, while Lyra mirrored his movements with precision. Sparks flickered along the conduits and the air vibrated with energy, but gradually the system began to stabilize. The surge subsided, flowing smoothly through the array. "Excellent," Lyra said, her voice calm but tinged with admiration. "Human intuition has once again demonstrated its value. Without your input, the system would have failed. This confirms that collaboration between our species is not only possible, but advantageous." Ethan exhaled, feeling a sense of pride and relief. "I couldn't have done it without your precision. We worked as a team." "Indeed," Lyra replied, her violet eyes meeting his. "Your species' creativity complements our precision. Together, we achieve results neither could accomplish alone." After several more cycles of testing, the system stabilized completely. The final readouts confirmed optimal performance, exceeding initial projections. Machines hummed steadily. Data flowed without error, and the lab radiated an atmosphere of quiet triumph. Ethan leaned back, a smile spreading across his face. "We did it, Lyra. The system is fully optimized." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and more importantly, this demonstrates a principle beyond engineering. Human qualities, curiosity, adaptability, and honesty have tangible value, even in a technologically advanced context." Ethan's mind drifted back to the first day he had arrived at Helios Station. Unsure of his place among advanced alien species, he remembered the accidental comment about Lyra, the hesitation and the awkwardness. And now, after days of collaboration, learning, and problem-solving, he realized that humans had something unique to offer, a combination of ingenuity, courage, and honesty that complemented even the most precise alien technology. During a quiet moment, Lyra observed him closely. "Ethan," she said softly, "do you understand the significance of your contributions? You have not only stabilized the system, but also reshaped my perspective on human potential. Your species is capable of far more than I previously believed." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and humility. "Thank you, Lyra. I just tried to do my best." "I guess humans have a way of finding solutions when the obvious path doesn't work." "Indeed," Lyra replied, her expression thoughtful. "And that is why collaboration is essential. Alone, species are limited by their inherent traits. Together, combining different strengths, we achieve far greater outcomes. Humans, you reveal strengths in ways that are unexpected and valuable." As the evening cycle approached, Ethan packed his tools, preparing to leave the lab. Lyra walked beside him, her movements graceful and measured. "Ethan, remember this day. It is not just about machines or experiments. It is about understanding, respect, and trust. You have shown that humans possess qualities that allow them to excel in collaboration and innovation. That is why I value your presence here." Ethan smiled, feeling the depth of her words. "I'll remember, Lyra, and I'll continue learning, working, and contributing, and I'll keep speaking my mind, carefully, of course." "Carefully," Lyra repeated, a faint smile touching her lips. "Yet never lose your honesty. It is a human strength. Courage, curiosity, and truth, these qualities define your species' potential." Walking back to his quarters, Ethan reflected on the journey. He had started as an engineer unsure of his place among advanced beings, hesitant and uncertain. Now he understood the value of his contributions, the power of collaboration, and the significance of human ingenuity. The accidental comment, the awkward honesty, and the days of problem-solving had all led to this moment of mutual respect and recognition. Looking out at the stars stretching endlessly into space, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was more than just a human engineer. He was a representative of humanity's potential, capable of making a difference in a galaxy filled with challenges. Somewhere in the quiet of the lab, Lyra observed him, not merely as a colleague but as a witness to human potential in action. Their partnership, built on respect, trust, and collaboration, had proven that even in the most advanced environments, human qualities could shine brightly. Ethan realized that humans did not need to be the strongest or the fastest. They did not need to match every alien ability. Their strength lay in courage, adaptability, and the ability to face challenges with honesty and creativity. And when combined with other species' strengths, humans could achieve remarkable outcomes. As he finally returned to his quarters, Ethan thought about the days ahead. There would be new experiments, new challenges, and new opportunities to demonstrate human ingenuity. But he felt ready, confident not only in his own abilities but in the value of human qualities in any collaboration. And he knew, without a doubt, that his accidental honesty, his willingness to act, and his determination to contribute had transformed more than just the energy modulation array. It had transformed how he saw himself, how Lyra saw humans, and how humans could be seen across the galaxy. Ethan smiled to himself, looking out at the endless stars. The journey at Helios Station was far from over, but he felt certain of one truth: humans, with their courage, curiosity, and honesty, could achieve greatness even among the stars. Lyra, watching from the lab doorway, allowed herself a small, genuine smile. "Remarkable," she whispered. "Truly remarkable." And in that quiet, shared moment of understanding, the partnership between human and Zalari scientist had been solidified, not just through science and discovery, but through respect, ingenuity, and the unspoken recognition of human potential in a vast, extraordinary universe. The station continued to hum with life, and Ethan knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. Yet he was ready, confident, and inspired. Humans, he realized, could excel where others might fail, not through force, but through intellect, creativity, and the courage to be honest and true. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human, and what humans could accomplish when they embraced their unique strengths. And somewhere in the quiet, among the stars, he felt the possibilities stretching endlessly ahead.